Okay, so today actually it is Unix class, but I thought that I have seen this one. It is a DBMS class. Let me finish off DBMS first, and in the place of DBMS, let me take Unix. Okay, probably it could not have any problem for you, I think. Okay, now so already we have seen these loops, iterative control structures also in our previous class. So loop and a while loop and a for loop, how this could be produces the output we have seen, everything we have seen, and different kinds of outputs have been produced by using this. Okay, normally these loops could not be used that much extensively in Oracle, let me say in PLSQL, because these loops of course useful, but not that much useful. So we are expected to use a special kind of the data structure. The data structure is called as cursor. It is a cursor, and this cursor is very important for us. So to write some kind of PL SQL programs which are very much useful for us. Okay, let me give you what is a particular cursor and what are the different aspects of cursor. Before going to take that, let me give you one small two different types of attributes. I mean PL SQL attributes. PL SQL attributes always starts with percentile. PL SQL attributes will be always starts with percentile. So percentile in the sense, so this one, like this, your PL SQL attributes will be get started here. Percentile, first one is type, second one is percentile row type. These are two different types of pretty much useful attributes which are very much useful for us in our PL SQL programs in further. Let me give you what is this particular point. Let me open the PL SQL here, SQL here. Then you could understand what exactly. So EDINV, inventory. We wrote one particular problem here, inventory. So inventory is one kind of SQL, PL SQL program which we have written and which we have seen everything in the previous class or before class. So look at this here, this particular thing, PID, process ID, we are always confusing what is the specific definition of that particular PID in the specific table. Let me close this one and describe. Let us take describe INVENTORY, inventory. If you take this particular thing, obviously it could be gives you some information, the table description of this inventory table. So look at this, PID has been defined, so number of 5. So writing this particular number of 5 will be always gives you some problem. Not exactly problem. If you know the complete description of this particular program, there is no problem. This particular table, there is no problem. If you are unable to know the definition of these values, let me say PID has a number of 5, P name as varchar 2 of 20. If it is this cannot be known to you, then you must use percentile type like this. How percentile type can be used here in the sense, percentile type will be always taken into consideration something like so any variable followed by space, then the table name, whatever the table name you could consider, dot attribute attribute name percentile type. So what does it means? Within that particular table, you have an attribute. That attribute has been defined during the definition of your table. Whatever the definition, what is the data type you have defined, as it is, the data type will be assigned to this particular variable. So if it is number of 5, yep, number of 5 will be gets assigned here. If it is so varchar 2 of some 100, yes, varchar 2 of 100 could be assigned to this particular variable. In this way, you can define so your data type from that particular table's attribute. Okay, so to do this, that particular kind of operation, what exactly we are trying to do here is inventory dot PID, product ID, percentile type. So if you take something like this, what does it means? It means, so inventory table is there. Within this inventory, we do have one particular column. That column name is PID. PID has defined with a type that is number of 5. So same kind of so data type will be defined by this particular temporary PID. Temporary PID has been defined in such a form. And then if you consider, one moment please, yes, I would like to save this one. And then if you consider one more, so describe, probably I do not remember actually, set lines 100, set pages, so 50, then select everything from TAB tables. So here we have some tables here. Tables are so inventory transaction, and one more thing is there here with us. Inventory transaction and inventory. So I do remember one more. Okay, let us take this one. So describe INVTRAN. Okay, this is the transaction, inventory transaction here. So if you want to define your table something like this again, so here transaction ID, let us consider rate per unit and R quantity and amount, whatever the amount you could consider here, everything will be taken to define something like this. Okay, so without mention the explicit definition of your data types, you may be so take the information from the table. So if you want to take information from that particular table in such a way, then you have to define in this format. Okay, percentile type. So percentile type will be always get the data type associated data type from a column, data type of a column, LUMN, column from a table. Something like this, it could be taken. Okay, each and every column. If you want to define one particular column's data type, yes, you have to define in such a way. Variable name. So variable name followed by table name dot attribute name percentile type. If you give something like this, whatever the data type of that particular column will be assigned to this particular variable. Whereas if you go ahead and type something about this one for defining this particular inventory trend, let us consider this particular table here. This particular table does have some structure in the sense TTID of number of 5 followed by PID of number of 5 again. So T date, and then amount number of 11, 2. So this particular table does have a complete structure. So if you select one particular row here, so let me close this one more time, because if it is not closed, then it could not be evaluated here. So look at this. So select everything from INVTRAN. It could be display some information, and it does have some data type. It does have some data type, and it is also have some data type, and also this one. So entire one row could be take the complete structure of this particular table. If you want to define something like that, how you could define here in the sense, again, so variable is table percentile, table name percentile row type. Okay, percentile row type. Probably in your C++ kind of programming languages, you have defined one particular. Okay, my internet connection is not that much not that much good, so that is why I'm continuously disconnecting and connecting is being happening here. So however, now it is okay. So you may be define some kind of structure tag, any tag name followed by so-called first member integer n, and the second member some float, some b, third member some character a, some fourth number, so double something like the double the some x. If you define something like this, so this tag might be given with a particular name, that is ABC. ABC could be able to access N, B, A, and X of different kinds of data types. Okay, if you want to access any kind of data from the ABC, ABC dot N, so this is the first element. Similarly, ABC dot B, this is second element, and so on and so forth. In this way, you could take the data from the specific structure in any programming languages such as C, C++, and Java, or any other kind of languages. If you want to perform the same kind of operation in PL/SQL, so normally this is not happen in PL/SQL because structure kind of data type is not there in PL/SQL, but we do have a attribute. That attribute is called as so percentile row type. This percentile row type will be gives you the structure of table. I mean, total structure of table will be assigned to one particular variable. Assigned to one particular variable. Therefore, you could have your own access, something like this, as far as the structure is being concerned in the languages. In this way, you could take the specification here. So these two are very important for us, and in cursors we would like to use them. So don't worry. So for time being, I'm not supposed to write any program for this particular thing. Now let me go ahead and explain something about cursor here. Cursor is very important for us. Cursor. So what do you mean by, what is the importance of this cursor? Is it is a private work area. It is a private work area, and which is also called as private buffer. So whatever the data you have selected from any table, that could be stored within that particular buffer. In Unix programming, we have been taken one particular option there, that is pipe. As and when pipe will be gets created, what actually been happen here in the sense, so it could be seams. It could be seams like this. For example, if you take any pipe over there, so pipe will be, for example, the process 1, so followed by pipe process 2. If you take something like this, let me say ls, so hyphen l, so pipe something like this more. If you take something like this, so obviously what could be happen, so this ls hyphen l will be gives you some data that could not be displaced immediately. So whatever the output which could be, so this could be placed into so-called buffer here. So it has been placed into buffer. From buffer, so more will be taken and it could be displayed. So more option operation will be get started over there. So why how this buffer will be created in the sense, because of this particular pipe, buffer will be gets created. Similarly, cursor also seems same thing. As and when you have to create a cursor, private work area could be used, and this particular private work area, so while creating a particular cursor, whatever the select statement you have been used, so associated data will be stored within this particular private work area. And from this particular private, let us consider this also as like as a file. Simply speaking, so buffered file, some number of rows will be stored, something like this, and the cursor pointer will be set to the first and foremost row. Okay, it could be set to the first and foremost row. Okay, now after creation of this particular cursor, what we are supposed to do? What are the operations, probable operations you are supposed to perform here? Or, so these are the probable operations. I believe that you do understand what is a cursor. When cursor will be gets created, some private work area, private work buffer will be gets created. Because of this cursor, some data will be selected from one particular table, so that the whole data will be transferred. So from your table to this private work area, and probably you have some 200 rows will be there within that particular table. Based on your selection, 200 rows will be transferred from that particular table to this private buffer, and cursor pointer will be set to the first and foremost row of that particular buffer. Okay, this is the basic operation which could be done here. So normal operations on cursor. So what kind of operations you are supposed to perform here? So you could able to perform so these operations here. Number one operation, so declare a cursor. That's also called as so create a cursor. cursor must be gets created. Second operation will be, operation number 2 will be open that cursor, cursor. After getting open, what exactly you are supposed to do here is you have to fetch data from the cursor. And the third one is, fourth one is, so you have to check availability of data from that cursor. This is the first or fourth operation. And afterwards, you could perform your own operations. On cursor, you may be perform your own operations. How many number of operations will be there after taking the data? So you have to perform your own operations. Then finally, fifth one is after the completion of your operation, you must be close that cursor. These are the 5 operations. First one is a declaration must be happen. You have to declare the cursor. Second one is after declaration or after creation will be happened. So you have to close that particular, open that particular cursor. After open, so you need to fetch the data from that particular cursor. During fetching, you have to check that whether the data is available or not. If data will be available, yes, you could perform the operation. If data cannot be there, and you could not perform any operation through cursor. And finally, after the availability of data will be success, or data will be there within the cursor, based on the particular data and based on the operation, you have to perform your own operation. So after completion of your continuous operation, then you have to close the cursor. This is the specific set of operations. These are the specific set of operations which could be happen through the cursor here. Okay. Then for performing cursor operations, what exactly we are trying to do? Oh, sorry. I am sorry. I haven't shared the screen. I'm sorry. So no screen is visible. Right now it is okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this. Okay. So if a cursor will be always operations on cursors will be, so number 1. So okay, let me take this one again. So a cursor is a private work area, so which could be used to, when creation of the cursor will be happen, which could be used to create some private work area, something like this. After this creation, based on the cursor's selection, data will be taken from that particular table, and it could be placed into this particular cursor, something like this. And our cursor pointer will be placed or pointed towards the first and foremost row of your cursor. This is the general operation which could be performed when cursor operations will be took place here. And wanted to perform some cursor operations, what exactly you are supposed to do? You have to declare the cursor, or that could be also called as create the cursor, and you have to open it, and you have to fetch data from that particular cursor. During fetching, you have to check that whether data is available or not. If data will be available, there is no problem. Data will be available, there is no problem. Based on that, you have to perform the operations. And fetching and checking for availability and operations. 3, 4 and operations will be continuously performed for as long as the cursor will be provide the data. After completion of your work, you have to close that particular cursor and come out from the program. So these are the specific operations. Now let us consider, first operation. How could you declare a cursor? Declare a cursor. How could you declare in the sense? The syntax will be seems like this. The syntax will be, a cursor will be gets declared by using CUR cursor. So cursor name, whatever the name you can choose, is select something, or whatever the query you are expected to perform based on the problem. So select subquery. SUB. So QUERY. So based on your situation or based on your problem, statement of your problem, yes, you have to select your own subquery here. Based on that, it has been gets created. This is the creation which could be happen here. And more specifically speaking, this creation of a cursor must be available at declaration section. Let me say de declare followed by this cursor declaration. Then you have to start with your begin. Okay, that's what you need to remember here. So it must be available with the declare section. And the second operation to fifth operation, what I have for second step to fifth step, everything must be there within the begin section. Okay, all these things will be there with the begin section. I'll give you what are the specific skeleton of the cursor also after declaring or after giving the complete information regarding to these 5 steps. After I will give you the skeleton also. Now let us see. So let us see, this is the declaration of the cursor here. First, it could be declared something like this. Then followed by second one is, so open the cursor. How could you open the cursor? How could you open this particular cursor? What is the statement here? Cursor could be open. So whatever the cursor name, yes, you have to specify that particular name. Obviously, it could be gets open. Okay, it could be gets open. The third one is fetch data from the specific cursor. So this data, for example, if you consider because of this particular subquery, your cursor may be having more than 2 rows, more than 1 row. Then if you have more than 1 row, your fetch operation will be always includes within the any iterative structure. So best iterative structure to be used for cursors are loop and loop. Okay. However, third one is fetch data from the cursor. Okay, fetch data from the cursor here. Now, so how it could be happen here? So fetch the constraint. I mean the statement will be fetch. So whatever the data, whatever the cursor it may be. So cur svar underscore name into into, so whatever the variable you have defined for a row type, okay, into, so row row typevariable, so row type variable. Okay, so you have to fetch the data into that particular row type variable, that structure kind of variable, and if this fetch will be succeeded or not, you have to check it out. If fetch will be succeeded or not, you have to check it out. So that succeeds of so check for availability of data from the cursor, how it could be evaluated here in the sense, this is the way you have to evaluate. So fetch will be get succeeded or not, how this could be able to done here in the sense, in this way it could be done. So cur svar underscore name percentile not found. Okay, this could be. So before that you have to include exit when, so you may be right, already I told you that this particular cursor must be always written in loop and end loop. Loop and loop will be always taken exit when. One more attribute I have been defined here, that attribute is not found, percentile not found. If a cursor will be fetched the data, and it could be checked that whether data has been fetched or not. If it is fetched, really, if it is fetched for one particular row, so percentile not found will be written false. If it is unable to fetch the data, percentage not found will be written true. I hope that you understand. If one row will be fetched from the cursor, then percentile not found will be written false. So it is unable to fetch. There is no data in the cursor, and we are trying to fetch the data from the cursor here. Then really there is no data from the cursor, so not found will be written true. As and when this condition will be gets true, obviously loop and end loop is going to evaluate it. Okay. Then finally the fifth operation is close the cursor. How could you close the cursor? So simple. So close followed by cur svar name, like this. That's all. These are the 5 different types of operations which could be gets happened here. and this fetching and the check for availability will be, these three operations will be, these two operations will be put into a particular loop. Loop will be iterated for several number of times. Since why we have to put into loop here in the sense, so we do have several number of rows are there here, first row, second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row. For example, some 10 rows will be there. You need to fetch the data for 10 times. You need to fetch the data for 10 times. 100 rows will be there. You need to fetch data for 100 times. So it could be done while you have to include within loop or any iterative structures. Then it could be happen here. So that is why we have to place into this particular thing like this here. Okay, like this here. Now let us check. Let us check how so a cursor could be gets happened here. So already we have been created one particular table here. The tables might be, let me show you. Electricity is already there, I think. Yeah, electricity is already there. Electricity is already there. Yes, customer number, customer name, last month reading, current month reading, and area code. So look at this. Any data will be select everything from electricity. Yes, some data is available. Okay, so we wrote some particular program on this particular thing also. So EDELE, we wrote one particular program. Yes, this program is already is there with us. So I'd like to modify this particular program with cursors. I'd like to modify this particular program with cursors. Probably we have also used consumption. Consumption is another table. So we need to identify. So what is the, so select everything from consumption. So let us take this particular thing. This is the consumption here. So based on the data which is available with us, so based on this particular thing, so consumption will be filled the data by using the particular cursor here. How this could be performed here in the sense, let us have a look. Let us have a look. Okay, I'd like to introduce some more data. The data might be, so insert into electricity values. What are the values you are supposed to place? The ampersand CNO, then ampersand name, customer name. So however, C name or name, followed by ampersand LMR, ampersand CMR, and so ampersand ACODE, area code. Okay, so 101, 102, and then some Raja, and then some 100, 350, and commercial. One more row, 103. So for example, it could be Janaki, LMR is so some 50, and CMR is 650, industrial. Okay, select everything from electricity. Okay, this is the data which is available with us. This is the data which is available with us. Now let me write a cursor for this one. A cursor for this one. Okay, ED, so CELA, cursor electricity. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Okay, look at this. Declare, we have to declare the thing. First of all, a row will be gets declared here. That row will be, so look at this. So ELE, yes, ELE row, ELE row. So it could be declared something like this: ELE CTRACATY, electricity percentile row type. Okay, this is whatever the electricity table you have been taken into consideration. That particular electricity table will be taken into consideration, and whatever the definition of that particular electricity, same definition will be took place here. Then followed by, so you have to declare a cursor, CUR. So ELE underscore CUR. You can take your own name. There is no problem at all. Is select everything. I would like to select everything from, so electricity. Whatever the data which is available with the electricity, everything has been selected. So totally 4 rows are there with us right now. 4 rows will be copied from electricity to your cursor name, namely ELE underscore CUR. So I may be require, if you wait for a while, I'll go ahead and open so EDELE, because here some number of because saving the time, I'd like to take the data here. For saving time, I'd like to copy everything from here. Okay, ED. So I will write. There is no problem. I will write the complete program only. So you please wait for a while. Okay. We don't require anything here. We don't require. So this particular thing is not required. So we require total units and amount is required for us. Total number of units and amount is required for us. So only we would like to take those two. That is, it is not number of 9. It is so CONSUMPTION consumption dot. Sorry for this, because I did not remember what are the consumption. Yeah, consumption TU and AMT. So ADECUR, ELE. Consumption dot TU percentile type. Whatever the type you have been defined at the specific thing, so you have been taken the same kind of definition for TU. And TAMT also be taken from that particular table only, AMT. I have been defined 2 different types of variables. Now, TTU is TMR minus, it is not TMR, it is not TLMR and CMR. It has been selected from this particular row. So look at this. Instead of this, we have to specify. So ELE ROW dot CMR minus. So ELE ROW dot LMR. So from that particular, from cursor we have been taken. So before going to take that one, first of all, open the cursor. Open. So ELE CUR. So cursor has been ELE underscore CUR. Cursor must be opened here. After opening, so the operations will be done afterwards. After opening the cursor, so you need to fetch the data from the cursor. So before going to fetching loop, so fetch, FETCH, fetch. So from which we are supposed to fetch here in the sense ELE underscore CUR into, so ELE ROW. First row has been taken from electrical, first row from the cursor to place into ELE row, second row will be placed into ELE row, and so on and so forth. Okay. After taking this one, we have to check that whether it is, whether data will be existed or not. So exit when, so ELE underscore CUR percentile not found. If it is not found, yes, you can exit. Don't do any kind of operation. If it is not true, then yes, you have to perform your own operations. Now, what exactly we are trying to perform? So this is the first operation. So you need to so check this one first, followed by, and of course you have to check area code. It is not area code. It is ELE ROW dot area code, and then after this one, so you have to identify. So whatever the rules and regulations you are expected to perform. So because time saving process, I have written something like this, so don't mind. So time is very less time is there with us. So that is why. Okay. And if it gets over here, yes. Don't mind this about this one here, because I'm saving the time. That is the only point I'd like to mention here. So that is why, yes, I like Python language very much, because Python language by default it has been taken its indentation. So that is why I like Python language very much. Okay, by default it has been taken indentation. Okay, so it's been taken end if. Probably 2 more minutes are available with us. everything is gets over. So now after completion of this one, you have to include, electricity does not have any inclusions here. You have to include the data into consumption values. So here ELE ROW dot so CNO, TTMT, and so on and so forth. After completion of this one, so commit also gets operated by you. There is no problem. You have to apply the commit also. Then after completion of this one, so END loop has been opened previously, and then so close, so ELE underscore CUR cursor has been closed, and finally you have to end this particular program. Everything is same. I'll share this one to you in the so Google Classrooms. You can please go through it. So select consumption. Select everything from CUN consumption. Yeah, everything from consumption. So look at this. This is the data, and delete. Delete from consumption. Everything must be deleted. Then again, select everything. So from consumption. So nothing is there. Now it could be. Let me run CELE. Oh, as much as many number of declaration. Rest of the ELE row. Okay. Time is running up. I'll solve this one and I will send you. Okay. You please go through it. I'll send you. Okay.